Hello, this is One Prince. I'm your host for this episode of Able Pathways. To join in on the conversation, please visit the Able Pathways channel on Little Arena. The address is www.littlearena.com/Able Pathways. There you can chat with a community of hosts, guests, and listeners. Listen to or download episodes. Suggest ideas or topics you would like to hear about. Let us know what you think. Or find our blog and video blog posts and our newest shows.
You are on the road to independence. Able Pathways is here to help you navigate the journey.
Hello everyone and welcome to Able Pathways. Tonight we have two guests with us. Karen, could you introduce yourself and who you're with, and we can go from there.
Hi, my name is Kain, and I'm the CEO and founder of Lorrins World. And Lauren is my daughter, who was injured by her vaccination at 6 weeks old, and she lived till she was 15 years old. And I'm sitting with her very best friend, who is Sarah Rivera. And Lauren and Sarah met when they were 11 years old at middle school. You want to say hi, Sarah?
Hello.
Come on, Sarah, don't be bashful. Have fun.
I don't know. We met in, what grade was it? Seventh grade. Seventh in horticulture class. She sat across from me. That's pretty much how we met. And then I pestered her.
Okay. Could you tell us a bit about Lauren and what her disability was?
What disabilities did Lauren have?
Yes.
Lauren had all the disabilities. Lauren was injured at 6 weeks old by her vaccination. And what happened is the vaccine went and it really attacked her brain. And when you're a baby and your brain doesn't work, basically the brain controls the whole body. So her whole body didn't work. She had, one thing she had was an uncontrolled seizure disorder. And that was a problem throughout her whole life. She lived till she was 15, and she died basically from the damage that the seizures were doing. She ended up as a quadriplegic. She was cortically blind, meaning her brain was not interpreting what she was seeing. She had no head or trunk control, and what else did she have? She had a tracheostomy, and she had a tracheal diversion, so she only breathed out of the hole in her neck. She had a G-tube, and she basically could barely use her arms and her legs, and she loved chocolate, and we would play with her and teach her with her limited access how to give the finger and how to wink when she wanted to cuss. Because
Okay.
we didn't do that till she was 14, but we did at 5 years old. I encouraged her with bribing to blink for yes and thumbs up. And when she went to school on her wheelchair tray, when Sarah met her, she would point to spinach for no, and she would point to Justin Timberlake for yes.
Okay, now we can see why they hit it off. How many 12-year-olds like spinach and Justin Timberlake? Okay, we'll see what happens. But why don't we begin to talk about the purpose and the mission of Lorrins World and start to divide into the conversation of friendship and stuff like that?
Well, I started Lorrins World because what I found was that when my daughter would walk in a room or wheel in the room, people kind of felt afraid of her, but they were interested by her. They wanted to talk to her, but didn't know how. So I always made something beautiful on her wheelchair. She ended up with a canine companion. So if people wanted to come up, they could come up and talk to the dog, or I had a cute blanket, or she always had jewelry and earrings, and she was always age appropriate. But what I found was people really didn't know how to be around her. And I started talking to the doctors at the hospitals, and I spoke at Cedars-Sinai. I spoke at the bus districts, and I started speaking to schools, just basically that Lauren was just like every other child, and Lauren was totally comfortable with who she was. She loved chocolate, she loved shopping, she loved friendships, and once people understood that, they felt more comfortable in talking to her. And what was happening when she was in middle school, I really felt sad because she didn't have any mainstream friends. And so her nurse that went to school with her would take her to horticulture, was a mainstream class, and Lauren was severely disabled. And she came home one day and she said, the kids are really mean. I don't think this is working. She's not really meeting anybody. And I think we should change the class. And I thought to myself, first of all, nothing in Lauren's life was easy. But secondly, I just felt that we had never given up, and I really had hope. And so I asked Debbie to give it 2 more weeks. So the trimester started, her second trimester started, and Debbie got up in front of the school, and she just told everybody that Lauren loved chocolate, she loved to shop, she loved Disney, and she talked about her seizures and why sometimes she would sleep at school, and she talked about having, being sun sensitive because of the seizure medication. And then she let all the kids ask questions, and the kids asked all kinds of questions. Can she walk? No. Can she talk? No. Can she see? Well, kind of. And then one boy said, is she the worst disabled kid ever? And Debbie said, well, maybe at this school, but she's totally comfortable with who she was. And she invited everybody to come to Lauren's disabled class and meet all the kids. And on that day, Lauren's life changed forever. And 2 groups of kids came into Lauren's classroom, and Sarah was one of them. And I always feel that it's very important that we break that barrier and quit separating our unique children with our mainstream kids, because I think that we do a disservice to everybody.
Okay, and Sarah, what's your input from that fateful day?
I actually don't remember the first day that I went into a room. I remember the first day I remember going in there. I'm not sure if it's the same day as the first day, but the first time I remember going in, I remember it was just me, Lauren, and her nurse Debbie, and I had been talking with Debbie because Lauren sat across from me at my table, and I don't know what, but something about her just drew me. I couldn't tell you now, I couldn't tell you then, and I probably won't be able to tell you later. But it's something about her. I just was so mesmerized. I said, she's not, I knew she was disabled, but she felt completely normal to me. And I feel I think that surprised me a little bit because everyone else was so timid around her. They're so scared. They didn't want to look because they didn't, they just were a little bit scared. But I felt completely normal, and I was like, well, something's got to be different with me. So I went in and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with her, and I fell in love with all the other kids in the classroom, and it just felt so right. It felt like it was just perfect. I felt like I was meant to be there that day, and that we were meant to be friends.
So, real quick, what grade are you now?
What
year in school are you now?
What grade? I am a senior in high school.
So, can I ask, are you looking at special ed as your major?
I wouldn't call it special ed. I want to be an interpreter for the deaf.
Okay, cool. Well, that's something that's ever needed. But you guys hit upon a few key concepts. Friendship. And if you develop that friendship early, it helps to grow and prosper. Cameron, how do you develop the friendships? How do you encourage others to develop the friendships?
Well, it was actually really a difficult thing for me to get Lauren acclimated in middle school. When I first started, I had no idea, but they did not put Lauren's picture in the yearbook, which really broke my heart. And I had to kind of go into school and start talking to them. I made sure that Lauren went to all the school dances. And so I hired someone to go dance with her. And I stood in the corner so Lauren wouldn't be embarrassed to be around me. I think it's extremely important to be age appropriate. So we had Lauren's hair dyed black on the bottom, and she had the cutest shoes. And I really did a lot just trying to really connect with the other kids. Lauren was a brownie, and then she was a Girl Scout. I got the Canine Companion. And what was really pivotal with the class that Lauren was in is I asked the teacher to have a pizza party, and he had never had a pizza party before. But he agreed, so I had made 50 cupcakes and brought soda, and then I brought cameras for the kids to take pictures of. And I just stood back and then let them take pictures. And after that, I went home and I made a scrapbook. And I sent the scrapbook to school with all the pictures that the kids took. And then I sent the video camera to school, and the kids just took video of them planting the plants all around school. And then I had the kids vote on what music they wanted to put on the video.
Oh, cool.
And they totally put inappropriate music. I couldn't have it on the video because they all picked songs that were too dirty. False. Yes, and of course they didn't think it was bad. But then I sent a video and I put Lauren's website and I sent everyone pictures, and I really worked hard to try to bridge that gap and allow the kids that wanted to become Lauren's friend to come forward. And she was also in the school musical at that time.
I remember that.
With Sarah, and the girls kind of fought over who was going to push Lauren on stage.
What was the school musical?
Ooh, I think it was Meet Me in St. Louis.
Okay, cool. But let me take your comments a bit further, because that's something that we all see on the path of being disabled. People not knowing how to accept who we are and not being able to move past that. Because I'm a CPA and I have found that a lot of the job interviews I've walked in, people have been so shocked that I'm not sure if they even gave me a good interview just because they did not know how to approach me.
And that's what I really focused on. For one, I always had Lauren approachable, which meant for me having something different. She had to have something extraordinary. And I would encourage people to ask questions. And it always seemed to me that people really just wanted to know how they could connect with her. And when Lauren, her whole attitude was one that life is but a coffee break. She had no problem with who she was, and she liked to be referred to someone who was living a unique life experience.
Yeah.
And so when I could convey that to other people, and that's part of why I interview people on my website, and Lauren's website is www.lorrins, Lorrins world.com. And so what I really do is try now to talk about, it's very basic. People just all want to be accepted and they all want to be liked. And when you open the door to allow people to come up to you and approach you, you'll find that people are still going to be afraid, but a lot of them are just curious, and some people just want to say hi.
Yes, and I also find that parents are the worst at that. You see little 5-6-year-olds pointing, chuckling, and the parents are like, shh, and they never address it. and therefore you develop a stereotype, and you're afraid to approach who we are.
Well, that's why it was so important for Sarah to come forward, because I found even when Lauren went to outdoor school, if one kid got up and said hello to Lauren, 10 kids would come up and do it. But, with Sarah just coming up and saying, it's okay, it's a bit different, and we talked about all the awkward conversations, but it's really about putting your fear down and coming forward with an open heart. And when Sarah did that, then all of a sudden the kids started fighting over it. And then when they tried to, work in her class, and we had sleepovers. And Sarah and I are going around and we're talking at all the abilities expos all around the U.S. about friendships. And I'm talking to parents and encouraging them to open that door. Because with Lauren, she was the white elephant in the room. When she walked in the room, everybody knew immediately there was something completely different about her. But when she came in with her canine companion and came in with her friends and, with my attitude, people had to change their attitude because of the way we were. We just held our head up high and we had as much fun as possible.
She wasn't a white elephant. She was a pink, bling, sparkling elephant.
Yeah,
incredibly hard to miss.
But I will give you my favorite story of friendship. I used to play ultimate frisbee with a group once a week. We had the ball, but we always went out for a dinner afterwards. But my friend Mark, who I'm still great friends with, was seeing me struggle with my cheese soup. He looked at me and went, God forbid, Rob, just pick it up and drink it and be done with it. Everyone around looks horrified. Like, how dare you say it, you SOB. I looked at him and gave him a high five. and it's like, for him to be that comfortable to say that, that's not teasing. That's just stating reality, and we have to get to that point to where our lives can either be depressing or they can be comical. And if you laugh at that, you will get a lot further in life.
I agree. I think humor is pivotal, and sometimes it can be a little sick humor, but I remember Sarah would come out and I would be in the kitchen making food because the girls would come over and sleep over, usually 5 at a time, and she'd say, Karen, Lauren's blue again. We just sit and it was just the way it was. Lauren was very involved, but we had so much fun. And I'll tell you one of the things that Sarah would do. You want to talk about when you hid her, what you would hide her from me?
Oh, I remember that. One day Karen was on, I'm pretty sure it was an important phone call, or it could have just been a family phone call. But me and mine and Lauren's best friend was over. Her name's Kelsey. And we decided that we were going to play hide and seek from Karen. So we took Lauren and we wheeled her around the house so that Karen couldn't see us. And what we did is we went far into the neighborhood up a hill.
We went down the street.
We went and hid, and we called Karen, and we're like, Karen, come find us. We're playing hide and seek. And she's like, okay, I'll come look for you after my call. So she goes looking around the house, right? And she couldn't find us. And she's like, well, where could they be? And then she looks around the house, outside the house, and she's like, where are you guys? And then we ended up telling her that we're up on a hill, like, all the way. And she's like, how did you guys get out here?
What I did is I went to get the mail, and in seconds I come back in this huge wheelchair, and my 15-year-old kid is completely missing. I went upstairs. I looked in closets. I literally had no idea where they were. But Sarah, they went ice skating one time, and Sarah hit her then too. So I would look, I would kind of go get something to drink and look around on the ice rink, and immediately in a second I know my daughter's not there, and it's kind of panic, but it's kind of funny because it's just having that friendship. I got to experience so many normal things, and that was just one of the silly things that Lauren would have loved to do on her own, but she couldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, and it takes time. But I have to ask a very interesting question. How long did it take you to accept Sarah and Kelsey as Lorrins' friend? Because I can picture not having anyone in her life for so long that it took you a bit extra to let go of her.
Actually, it really was very quick. What happened was Lauren was going to school on the bus with her nurse, and so it was exactly like this. I used to wait by the phone for a 911 call for Lauren turning blue or having a horrible seizure, and she had to be picked up. But all of a sudden, Debbie started calling me, and she said, there's this girl named Sarah, and she wants to know how Lauren does this, or what her favorite TV program, or does Lauren cry, and when's her birthday? And then it really became the phone would ring, and I would have it by my side, and it turned into the cute question of the day. So it brought me so much joy, more than I could ever tell you in a million years, that I would wait by the phone to hear the cute question of the day. And one of the questions was, had Lauren ever been to a sleepover? And so for Lauren's 13th birthday, because I said to Debbie, I said, do they want to have a sleepover? And I'd not met any of these girls, just quickly at the pizza party. And she said, I think they want to have a sleepover. And then Sarah was the one who got to be in charge of the slumber parties. Sarah picked what we ate, who was invited, what we did, and she organized everything. And so she was the boss, and she was making sure that all the right people would come. And I would have kept her forever on that day. On my day, that day my life changed forever. I had a chocolate fountain, I had chips, and
oh my gosh, it was it was just like this huge, massive chocolate fountain and bowls of chips.
I mean,
sodas and sours and gummy bears and
candy galore.
And what we did is we took pictures all night, and then the next morning Debbie came over, the nurse, because it wasn't just my heart that was melting. My nurses, Debbie, the nurse that went to school with her, and my night nurses, they all came over, and Sarah picked the movie, and the next day we did a scrapbook together, and every girl that came to the party, there were 5 of them, went home with a scrapbook of the night's events.
Yeah,
and so
that was awesome.
It was kind of a Disneyland moment when the kids were at my house, but I could never get enough of them, and changed my life forever. And another really special thing was that Lauren died March 2009, 2 days before Christmas. And Lauren also...
March 2009, 2 days before Christmas.
Yes, and Lauren also came to people in their dreams, and she came to Sarah 3 times that night before she died. But what the thing was is in March was Lauren's birthday, and I was sitting there, and of course, my whole life had changed. I had worked with Lauren and done everything for her for 15 years. And I get this little Facebook message from Sarah, and it said, I have a proposition for you. Let's have a slumber party, a sweet 16 for Lauren's birthday. And I get the spot on her bed because she's holding it for me. And so for Lauren's 16th birthday, I had 5 of her friends come over, and we celebrated her birthday. And so it was such an amazing gift that I would have kept all those girls forever, and I'm so glad that I get to see Sarah at my house. And just opening that door to friendships has changed my life forever.
Okay, so how receptive are other parents to your story?
I think sometimes parents think I'm a little crazy. I think some of the kids that were Lauren's best friends, they didn't really know what to expect, because I think the thing is there's no rules. And so when people make up their own rules, sometimes people don't know what to say or do. But I think most of the parents of the children are pretty proud of them for, well, when Lauren had her first slumber party, none of the parents knew how severely disabled Lauren was. And I saw the look on one of the mom's face. Kelsey's mom, she just looked in shock because the kids were just saying, oh, yeah, Lauren's in a wheelchair, Mom, or we're going to go stay the night. The kids didn't have a problem with Lauren. They didn't have a problem with Lauren being nonverbal and not moving and not walking and talking. And the kids just thought she was regular. And the parents kind of really had to get on board. So I think that I tell parents that it's really important to pick a goal and pick one goal and work towards that. Because maybe not everybody wants their child to have friends, but for me, Lauren having her friends changed my life, and it allowed me to enjoy. We had sleepovers, we played Halo and Rock Band, we toilet papered, prank phone calls. We did all the normal things.
So basically, Sarah carefully pulled her out of her body and made her a person so you could see a true teenager and not just...
They were her voice, and one time they all got in trouble because they made her a MySpace page and they put inappropriate music on it.
No.
Yes, no. Sarah doesn't agree, but yes, she would put inappropriate music on it. And then one time, and Sarah went to camp with Lauren. We went to Junior Blind of America, and so I can't tell you how proud I was to have my daughter have a best friend that could go to camp with her. The day that my daughter went to camp, I cried all week. And the day that I went to camp 9 years later with her best friend with her, I just never thought I would get those experiences.
I mean, and what you're talking about is very important, and it's important to all of us. And I'm glad I have had you guys on the show because many people fail to realize you need friendships from both angles. You need disabled friends, but you also need a normal friend so you can grow beyond that.
I really believe that they helped me, but I also think Lauren changed the way they did life and the way they treated everybody. And, Sarah's going to be working with the deaf community, and I just think that everybody was lucky. I think we all kind of won, and Lauren got to just experience a regular life with, fun things and just like any parent would wish.
Yep. So how did the teachers react?
In the beginning, it was a little difficult, I will say. There was a lot of controversy because some of the teachers thought it was okay for Lauren to be in the musical, but then some of the teachers thought it was inappropriate for Lauren to be in a beauty pageant. And some of the teachers didn't think Lauren should go to school. They thought she should stay home. And it wasn't easy. I'm not saying that I decided to have friendships and it happened. I thought about it. I set it as a goal. I prayed about it. I spent a lot of time building those relationships, and it was a lot of work, but it was absolutely worth it. A lot of people have the attitude that Lauren shouldn't leave the house. And not only did the kids ask questions, a lot of the teachers would ask if I liked her and if I was happy. And they really couldn't understand that I was a parent that was totally in love with my daughter, even though she was very, very medically involved, and that we had a good life. They really couldn't wrap their brains around how that could happen. And so I think that by example, we just got out there and had a lot of fun.
I mean, though, listening to you talk, I could get 3 or 4 different shows out of you because it looks like you can talk about family, you can talk about goals, because that's one thing that we here at Able Pathways need to focus on is how does the family deal? Because there were some challenges and people are probably looking upon you. How dare you don't feel guilty for Lauren, when in fact you were able to love your daughter and love what she brought to you.
You know, I had to learn really early on when Lauren was a child that I was the most brokenhearted, devastated person ever. I did not want to be a parent of a child with a disability, much less every disability. It was my worst nightmare. And when Lauren was first diagnosed, I thought she would embarrass me in public. I didn't realize the magnitude of her illness, and it just would pick away at her. You know, she had the seizures, and then she needed the G-tube, and then she needed the trach, and then we had to rebuild her hips, and we had to put a rod in her spine. And from ages 3 to 5, she almost died every weekend. I literally didn't leave the house because she would turn blue. I couldn't go anywhere because we'd end up in ICU. And it was very difficult, but the thing that Lauren taught me was that she was totally fine with who she was, and I had no control over if she lived or not. Because at first I wanted to fix her, and I thought that it was about that. And when she was 3, we put her in a coma twice to stop the seizures. And when she came out of the coma, she kind of stopped having seizures, but then she just went into her lungs failing and pneumonia and chronic lung disease. And I had to just decide on that day that she came here and she picked this body and she didn't want to be normal. She was going to be unique. And she was fine with that. So I couldn't feel sorry for her. So I had to quit feeling sorry for myself. And she was really pretty much on board all the time. It was really hard for me to accept that. And there were times that I would try to heal her and try to fix her, and then I had to just enjoy her. Yeah. So it was hard, and I didn't understand when doctors said go home, prepare for the worst, until she was so sick. But when she was well and she was happy, we could do anything, and I had as much pain as I had equal and greater amount of joy.
Yep. So I have one last question for Sarah. I'm assuming that all of your conversations with Lauren with no more teen goal stuff, whether it be music, teachers, parents, and even that dating and stuff of that nature. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. All of our conversations were every topic over the moon. We talked about boys, we talked about parents, we talked about what bugged us. We talked about, if we wanted more animals, like what's our favorite animal. We talked about everything we could possibly imagine. She was my best friend. I was her best friend. I just felt so comfortable with her. And I used to always joke around that she was always the best secret keeper. But she couldn't tell anyone.
Okay.
But even if she could speak, I don't think she would tell my secrets.
Okay, with that said, I would like to thank both of you again. I really have enjoyed this, and I realize this conversation just touches the top of the surface. And hopefully throughout talking with other people, we can go from there.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to talk about this. And I know my goal is to help other parents, and I'm to help mainstream kids and the unique kids, and really just let the kids be and let them enjoy, because the parents sometimes just need to step back and allow it to come, because I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world.
And thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you on the next show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.